Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey has been busy. He just sued New York State to protect former President Trump from being sentenced in the phony trial against him. As you know, it was a spectacle in the state of New York a couple of months ago. New York Attorney General Letitia James has responded, saying Missouri's lawsuit is based entirely on an ongoing criminal case between the Manhattan District Attorney and former President Trump and does not present an actual controversy between sovereign states. Missouri's claims are patently meritless. Andrew Bailey, Missouri's Attorney General, is with me now. Now, I've seen a lot on this. I want to hear directly from you. And what exactly is the goal?
Well, our goal here is to eliminate this illicit witch hunt prosecution in New York that's hijacking a presidential election and injecting poison into our democratic process. Look, the state of Missouri has a sovereign interest in participating in a national election on equal footing with every other state. And yet a rogue prosecutor in the state of New York, again, have hijacked that process and deprived Missourians of access to a presidential candidate, and with a gag order deprived Missourians of the right to hear from a presidential candidate. And courts should stay out of any decision, any case that's going to cause election interference. Those concerns are certainly heightened the closer in time we get to an election. And this is the heat of a campaign in the presidential election in the most consequential national election in this nation's history. And so Missouri's fighting for its rights and its voice in the process.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a nuanced view at this, but it's not unheard of. And could other Republican-led states or Republican or just other attorneys general jump on board with this?
Yeah, certainly that's true. And we've had multiple other Republican states join amicus briefs in support of this lawsuit. Our founding fathers contemplated that there would be legal disputes amongst the states. And so they codified an original action docket in the form of Article 2, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. And that's where we filed the case originally with the United States Supreme Court so that we could protect Missourians' rights to have access to and hear from a presidential candidate. And I'm proud to stand with other like-minded attorneys general. Look, New York wouldn't allow a red state prosecutor to arrest and jail Kamala Harris, so we're not going to let them do that to President Trump either. Missouri had a caucus, and there are numerous electors and voters who caucused in favor of President Trump and have the right to be heard in the process.
Yeah, it's interesting. We hadn't been talking much about this case. The sentencing is scheduled for September 18th, so we will certainly watch this. Last 10, 15 seconds, just your quick thoughts.
Yeah, look, that case needs to be thrown out. It is replete with constitutional error. It's an illicit witch hunt. We know that. The goal was never to obtain a legally valid conviction. It was always to take President Trump off the campaign trail. We can't let that happen.
Attorney General of the great state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, thank you for your time today.
All right, my friends, Jared Dukes at your service. Appreciate you joining me today. Got a great story, as you just heard. What a fantastic idea by the Missouri Attorney General. And we're going to get into it right now because I think this is going to be a very important case at the Supreme Court. Clearly, this Missouri Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, has taken bold and courageous steps to put an end to this lawfare. Not only did he file a lawsuit against New York State, he filed a lawsuit, rightly so, against the Attorney General of New York, our favorite person, Letitia James. This lawsuit claims that New York is engaging in illegal lawfare, that this lawfare is designed to deprive all citizens, especially the citizens in the state of Missouri, which of course this Attorney General represents in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Essentially, it deprives each and every American of their right to vote for the president of their choice. The Attorney General is also targeting this so-called gag order that this nutty Judge Merchant still has in place, even after the case has technically been finished, because as you know, it ended in a verdict against former President Donald Trump. Imagine that in the United States of America, we have a leading candidate to be the next president of the United States, and a judge on a state level has decided that a presidential candidate cannot talk about certain things. Our founding fathers would be rolling over in their graves right now if they could. Now, let's break this down. Donald Trump, our former president, was convicted on 34 fabricated counts by a partisan Democratic jury. These charges stem from alleged faulty business records that date all the way back to 2016. And who is behind this? None other than Alvin Bragg, the partisan New York City solicitor/prosecutor, I think his official title is district attorney, that targeted former President Donald Trump. It's not just this particular district attorney, Alvin Bragg. It is also obviously these woke Democrats all working in collusion together with the Joe Biden administration. At this point, I can go ahead and say with the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. Remember, Alvin Bragg basically took dead misdemeanors from 2016, was able to weave together this fictitious novel legal theory that he was able to resurrect these dead misdemeanors and behold, produce 34 felonious charges against former President Donald Trump. My friends, what I just described is exactly the definition of lawfare, and it's evil, and these people should be ashamed of what they have done and what they continue to do. This is the very definition of lawfare at its worst. This isn't just about legal maneuvering. This is a deliberate attempt by the Democrats and the Biden administration, what I call these woke Democrats, to eliminate former President Donald Trump from ever being president of the United States again. And of course, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey sees this for what it is: a direct attack on our democratic process, a direct attack against our Constitution, a direct attack on the founders, our Constitution, specifically allowing you and me to determine who our next president of the United States is. Just like the Democrats did to Joe Biden, simply defying the will of the people. 14 million Americans voted for Joe Biden. Well, they're trying to do the same thing for Donald Trump. They don't want you or me to be able to vote for Donald Trump. They want to decide what we can do and what we can't do. And they've been trying to take him off the chessboard ever since. Attorney General Bailey has asked the United States Supreme Court to declare New York's actions unlawful and to declare them as unlawful interference in the democratic election process. Technically, he's worded it as interference in a presidential election. And of course, most important, I should say very importantly, he wants the United States Supreme Court to immediately lift this unconstitutional gag order on former President Donald Trump. He wants the United States Supreme Court to also halt any type of imposing a sentence against former President Donald Trump until after the election. Remember, Donald Trump is set to be sentenced in this Judge Merton's courtroom in New York City sometime this next month. A lot of us have kind of forgot about it with all the news that's been going on over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but this is very important that this nonsense stops, and it stops now. Attorney General Bailey's move is not only smart, it's extremely courageous. He is standing up for the rule of law and for the rights of voters across our nation. He's also taken advantage of something very unique in American law, and that is that only the United States Supreme Court can hear a case between states. In other words, you have the state of Missouri suing the state of New York. It does not go to a federal judge or a state judge. It goes directly and solely to the United States Supreme Court. And as we all know, right now, there's rather a conservative Supreme Court. Thank God for that. A Supreme Court that has common sense, generally a 6-3 type of split. And I'm very happy that he had the courage to do what needs to be done. And guess what? Great news. The United States Supreme Court has ordered New York State to respond to the suit, and New York just responded to the suit. Missouri's lawsuit seeks to block any type of sentencing and any type of gag orders, and frankly, any type of further orders from this so-called court until after the election. This is critical. As you know, Donald Trump is running for a second term as president. Folks, remember this. This lawsuit, this situation, this lawfare stuff we keep talking about is really bigger than any person. It's definitely bigger than Donald Trump. I love him to death, but Donald Trump is just one man. This particular subject is bigger than any man, because I can assure you it's human nature. When they start doing something evil like this, they'll continue to do it if it's not put a stop to. This is very important just for our own Constitution, for the integrity of our own country, to keep us from becoming a third world banana republic. The bottom line is it's about preserving the integrity of our election process. I personally applaud Attorney General Bailey for taking this action, and I sincerely encourage other state attorney generals to join this fight. We need more states attorney generals to file what's called amicus briefs to the United States Supreme Court in support of what this attorney general is trying to do. Remember, the Democrats, the woke Democrats, the Biden administration has pulled out all the stops. They're doing everything within their power to stop Donald Trump from getting back to the White House. They've gone after his money. They've harassed his children. They've targeted his assets. They've dismantled his businesses. They arrested him, took his mugshot there in Fannie Willis's BS courtroom, and they have even attempted to incarcerate him. And of course, that is still ongoing. They even took him off the ballot in 2 states, remember, Colorado and Maine, until the United States Supreme Court intervened and stopped it. Imagine being arrested, having your personal face on a mugshot for the world to see. They even raided his home, specifically in Mar-a-Lago, right here in Florida. Imagine having your home raided by the FBI, and the warrant itself says that deadly force was authorized. Imagine that. If a former president of the United States can have his home raided pertaining to documents, we don't stand a chance, folks. It's just that simple. If they want us, if the government, if deep state, if the ruling class wants us, we're all in serious trouble. Former president of the United States can have done what has been done to him, what's being done to him, what happened to him in his own personal residence. Folks, we have to correct this. We have to stop this. We have to get out. We have to vote. We have to change. We have to be the change. Please don't forget the warrant pertaining to President Trump that allowed the FBI to raid his compound authorized the use of deadly force. This is beyond outrageous. It was only after the United States Supreme Court granted some relief to President Trump was he able to frankly put a stop to at least some of this. And of course, you remember the ruling that just come down from the United States Supreme Court in a 6-3 decision, which essentially said that the United States president is absolutely immune from any type of criminal prosecution for acts involving his official capacity, which it should be that way. Now, obviously, the liberals, these woke Democrats, they made a big deal that the president is a king and he's above the law. That's all nonsense. Don't fall for that. I have several videos I made on that exact subject. This Supreme Court ruling was not just a ruling for former President Donald Trump. It was a victory for all of us, an absolute victory, a victory for the rule of law, a victory to protect our Constitution. And of course, we all know the ongoing investigation pertaining to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Thank God that Donald Trump is alive and well. Imagine how close we came to losing the person that is most likely going to be the next president of the United States. I remember when this assassination attempt happened, I was thinking in my mind, they did all these things to him. They could not stop him. They could not take him down. Because I was watching live when this happened. I was like, I can't believe this. They actually got this man. They actually took him out. They couldn't do anything to stop this man, and they got him. And again, I praise God that Donald Trump is alive and he is well. All of these actions that I've been talking about are just not attacks on Donald Trump. They are attacks on the fundamental fabric of our constitutional republic. It's an attack on our democracy, our Constitution, our families. It's an attack on everything we hold dear as Americans. This lawfare was nothing more than a desperate, continuing attempt to get rid of Donald Trump, to get rid of the biggest political threat standing in the way of the Democrats having total control on every facet of our lives. In conclusion, my friends, the actions taken by the Missouri Attorney General give us all a beacon of hope, give us all light in an otherwise dark time in our country's history right now. We all must support this lawsuit. We all must support the efforts of this Missouri Attorney General and do our part. We all must demand that the United States Supreme Court do what is right and uphold our principles of justice and democracy. The American people deserve to choose their president, the president they want, without attacks from partisan hacks like these woke Democrats, like the Biden administration. These unconstitutional tactics must be brought to a permanent end. My friends, please don't be in despair. I firmly believe we have great days ahead of us. I really feel that God has a special anointing on Donald Trump and on our country, and he's going to take us to a better place. However, we all have to do our part. We have to get out. We have to vote. We have to encourage our family, our neighbors, our friends to get out and vote. If you have any family members, friends, anyone that is suffering from the painful and awful disease of indoctrination, please be sure to share this video with them. If you're still with me, you might as well hit the thumbs up button and please subscribe so you know when my next video comes out. It's a pleasure to have an opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I appreciate you joining me today. Never take it for granted. I like to always say, my friends, keep that mind free. Never give up. And until next time, I am J.R. Dukes.